Bonjour, everyone. Hi, this is Neshi Lokotz. Welcome to Star Nation's organization's main fan page where I do this daily live stream, or nearly every day live stream. The content is all around the divination cards that I draw in the morning. And the intention for that is to know what's most important for us to know about today in the energy that's flowing, that's meant for our highest good and for our soul growth. So, and it always sparks a really interesting conversation in the live chat. And so thank you for being here and welcome. Before we get too far down the road, what I'm going to do is I am going to like and share the broadcast. I'm just using my phone. I'm going to find our broadcast. And I see it's rolling. Here we are. All right, I'm going to share it over to my news feed, just so my friends know that I'm live streaming. I'm live streaming, and I'm gonna invite them to please join us. There we go. There. Simple, easy enough, right? Easy enough. Yeah. All right. So today's Saturday, April 13th. Yeah. And I have to say, here in Toma, and I share the weather with you guys just about every day. It's not too bad out, really. It's like in the mid 30s, and it's cloudy, but it's not raining and it's not snowing. It's a little breezy, but it's not that blustery wind we had the other day. And so it's not that bad. It's actually quite nice out for a April day, I guess. We were Paul and I were talking this morning about what we're going to do once the snow actually melts. Yeah, we got lots of springtime stuff. We were just going to start, and we got that huge snowstorm and put everything on the back burner. We need to get some fencing up for George. Oh my goodness, that little boy, he likes to dig in the gardens. And so instead of out there trying to either correcting him or redirecting him, because it's going to take quite a chunk of time to do that. We're just going to put some fencing up around the gardens, and we're going to put some fencing up around here back at the academy, broadcasting, and we're going to do a outside run for George, so that when I'm up here, he can go outside if he wants to. Yeah. So that's all on the docket for this spring. If we can actually get out there and put the posts in, right, for the fencing. Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, I'm going to get started with the card draw. I was going to tell you one other thing, and I got stuck on the fencing thing. Let's see if it comes back to me. I was just going to share with you what it was like here this morning. And it was actually a very nice morning. Things went, I actually got up on time. Sometimes I oversleep because I usually don't get into bed until after 11:30, and my alarm goes off around 6. And so, but this morning it was good because I was in bed and asleep by 10:30. And yeah, so I'm well rested. Yeah, and so this morning it was really smooth, very, very smooth. And when I did the card draw this morning, I was out in the Four Seasons porch waiting for George to come in, and I got the cards, and I had to smile. I really had to smile because I think we're going to have a good conversation around these two. Oh, I see Stephanie's in the house. She's doing a bunch of posting for us. Stephanie is our social media manager, and so she's including information about the magazines and about the shows and about the classes, so that you have all of that information. Yeah. Oh, and I see that she even put in which cards I'm using. Yay. Thank you, Stephanie. She's on it. That lady's on it. Okay, so with the cards this morning, and for those who might be watching the recorded version of this, welcome to. So glad to have you here. I always put those upside down. This is the deck of cards we're using. We're using Sacred Path cards by Jamie Sams. It's one of the very first decks that I bought years and years ago. It's one of my favorite ones. I like her poetry. She includes a poem with each of the cards. So the first card that came, we had last week. Yeah, we had it last week. And the first card that came is the talking stick. And it's about viewpoints and options. Viewpoints and options. Yeah. So, we talked about it last week, but we talked about it from mostly listening to someone else's viewpoint, right? And with this one, I wanted to go over just a little bit about what the talking stick, the essence of the use is, okay? And Jamie Sams writes that the talking stick is a tool used in many Native American traditions when a council is called. It allows all council members to present their sacred point of view. The talking stick is passed from person to person as they speak, and only the person holding the stick is allowed to talk during that time period. And so it's the talking stick. If you've never been in a circle where a talking stick is being used, it really is. It's a different way of communicating than most people are used to, right? I've been in places where even though we're sitting in a sacred circle, that there's more than one person talking at a time, usually, and especially if you're in any kind of public setting, yeah, there's usually more than one person talking at a time. And even when we have our live stream shows, I don't know if you've ever noticed that when we have co-hosts, that sometimes we try to be respectful to each other and not talk over each other, but there's sometimes when we get kind of excited about the topic, and we want to express our thoughts or ask a question, and we kind of talk over each other. In a talking circle, that doesn't happen. That doesn't happen at all. And that the person holding the stick really does have the floor and does have should have everyone's attention. Yeah. Julie's here. Hello, Julie Hedges. She says, howdy, listening while laying down, slight headache and need to rest my eyes. Always good to be here. Well, I'm glad you're here with us, Julie, and I hope you feel better. Yeah. She's just saying howdy to Stephanie. And so the use of this talking stick may be a new experience for some people. I've been leading talking circles for, I don't know, probably since 1988 or 89, something like that. I graduated college in 87. Yeah, I think it was 89 when I led my first talking circle. Yeah. And it was with teenagers, with youths. Oh my goodness. That was an experience all in itself. All right. And so the point here is that is to respect another's point of view. Now that doesn't mean that we agree with them. It's just that we're open enough to be able to hear their perspective, their point of view, which may be vastly different than our own, right? And sometimes it's hard to sit on our hands and not to make the reply. It's not a debate. It's not a debate. And that to be able to hear their point of view. Now, when the stick gets passed to you and you have the opportunity to be able to voice your thoughts, and maybe answer some questions, that the person that you had the opposite view from, now it's their turn to listen to you, right? And the intent here is to be able to hear all people's perspective when you're in a talking circle. So there may be an opportunity to be able to see something a little bit differently than if you were just on your own thinking about it or reading about it. And it opens our world a little wider, and we become a little bit more accepting of others. Yeah. So that's the intent, is so that you're actually being attentively listening, that you're not in your mind, you're not racing ahead, finishing their sentences, or trying to construct the questions in your mind, because basically then we're not listening to them. We're listening to our inner dialogue. We're listening to ourselves. And so sometimes I know that's kind of a hard thing to do. Yeah. But with practice, and with that experience, it certainly can. It's very helpful. And I have to say, when I first started teaching this and actually leading talking circles, it really helped me in my job. I was working for the University of Eau Claire at the time, and with one of my mentors, Jim Vance. He was a guy he was my boss, and he was the one who taught me how to say something and when to say it. Because especially in the university system, the politics is pretty thick. And you have to know who's on first. And so he was the one that taught me how to sit back and listen and watch who the players are, right? And it kind of fell in line with what I was taught as a kid, and that was, my mom was always saying, is that you learn more by listening. You learn more by listening and watching. And in that, what she was teaching us was watching body language, and how to tell when somebody's not quite telling the truth when they're talking to you, because you can feel it and you can see it if you're watching. And so it was one of the skills that she taught us. And then Jim, when I was much older, I was in my 30s, when I learned from him how to sit back and watch around a conference table and how that all plays out. Because like I said, the politics are thick. Thick, and you have to know who's on first, right? And so it was very helpful. It was very, very helpful. Hey, Karen's here. Hello, Karen. Good to have you here. And Karen's asking, is this your magazine? Actually, no, this is, okay. Let me explain a little bit about Star Nations. Thank you for that question, Karen, by the way. So Star Nations organization, that's the name of the overall business, right? And underneath Star Nations organization, the things that we offer is Star Nations magazine, which is a monthly issue, and many of the contributing writers are also live stream show hosts. We got about half and half. Half of our contributing writers are live stream show hosts as well, and the other half of our contributing writers are they don't have a show. Okay, so that's the magazine. It's a spiritual magazine, and we publish it every month, once a month, on the 10th. In fact, we just published the April one. Now, the live stream shows here at Facebook, we originally started out on internet blog talk radio years ago, and we made the leap to Facebook live stream. It was a year ago in September, so we're working on our second year. And and so our live streams, some of them do coincide with the articles, I have to say that. But our live stream shows are really about topics and content that each of the live stream show hosts are guided to offer. Many of us connect with our spiritual team and say, what's today, what's this week or this month? What are we talking about? What's most important? This particular live stream show that you're watching, Karen, is my daily live stream, and it's based on the divination cards that I draw in the morning. And so it helps us to have a spiritual conversation about it. The intent of the card draw is about What energy is flowing today that's most important for us to know about, and that can be helpful with our soul growth, right? And that's for the highest good. So we have that. We also have the Star Nations Academy, where all the classes happen. There's many of our show hosts and contributing writers are also teachers, spiritual teachers, and we have a wide range of classes that we offer as well. And we have it's a closed group, Star Nations Academy closed group here at Facebook, where we offer free mini classes once a month so that you can kind of get used to and get to know the teachers a bit. And we get to talk about some pretty cool topics too, to teach about it. And we also have in-person classes. Where I'm broadcasting from is Star Nations Academy here in Tomah, Wisconsin. And this is where our physical classes occur. And this fall, we'll be adding on online classes, and I'm leaning toward using Zoom, and so that is basically what we do here at Star Nations. So this is not the magazine. This is one of our shows, though. I hope that answered your question. If it didn't, just let me know, and if you have another question, I'll see if I can answer it, okay? And thank you, Stephanie, for putting in the information about the magazine. That's very helpful. Thank you. Okay, getting back to the card. This is the first card that came, the talking stick, and it's about viewpoints. And it really is about attentively listening to someone else's point of view, even though you may not agree with it. Okay? Just because you're listening doesn't tell them that you're agreeing with them. But it does mean that when it's your turn to have the talking stick, that you have the opportunity to be able to share with them. Okay? All right. So that is the talking stick. Jamie Sams, who happens to be the author of this deck, she says that the talking stick is the tool that teaches each of us to honor the sacred point of view of every living creature. Yep. And we listen to the wisdom and teaching of others, and we can broaden our understanding and relate in a new manner to others. So we have the opportunity to be able to expand our understanding, right? Yeah. She also says that the talking stick reminds us of the validity of other points of views and teaches us how to listen and to apply what we hear. We're being reminded not to interrupt others who are imparting wisdom. We are taught through listening that life has millions of options and answers to any dilemma. If the talking stick has appeared in your spread, you are probably not allowing yourself any options in your present situation, or have become too stuck on one idea to see any further than your self-created tunnel. Open up and listen to the opportunities that the talking stick says are coming your way. Remember, all life signals and or options are available to those who will hear. You're being given an opportunity to grow through the alternative route to use this gift now. Yeah. Yeah, that's a lot, really. Oh, hello, Jackie. I'm glad you could join us, even though you're at work. Even though you got your earbuds in, right? Okay, so it's about listening, right? And it does help us to open up our perspective. It helps us to even sort out what we truly believe. Because as we grow, our belief systems tend to shift and change, right? There are some core values that will remain the same no matter what label is on your belief system. And especially around religion, right? Or politics, or some of the really big issues, right? No matter what you call it, there's some core values that never change. But when we're attentively listening, it helps us to be able to sort through those things as we grow, right? And as we age, right? I shouldn't even put age on it, though, I don't think. Because I'm thinking back of when I first started leading talking circles. It was with teenagers. And many of them had very insightful additions to the conversation. Some of them actually were kind of profound, all right? And many times that was the first time in their experience that they actually had somebody sit down and actually pay attention to what they were saying and listening. So maybe we shouldn't attach our chronological age onto that. Yeah. And what's an old saying? Out of the mouths of babes, right? Some truths come out. Yeah. So here's the talking stick. So, the question to the audience is how many of us have ever taken the opportunity to sit down and truly listen to another being? Okay. Now we're going to expand this, not just to another two-legged, another human, but any being, whether it's a four-legged, maybe it's your dog or your cat, maybe it's part of the stone people or the tree people, the standing ones. That when we're out having a hike or walking in the woods, or even if you're downtown, right? Even if you're downtown, are you attentively listening to what's going on around you? Right? Are you paying attention to that? Or are you deep in thought? In your own thoughts? Yeah. Some of the best times I had when we were living in Oklahoma years ago was every morning I'd get up very early because it gets hot in Oklahoma. And I would go onto Fort Sill Post, and I would walk around the golf course. They had a walking trail, and I walked. And I was usually by myself, and I noticed that almost everybody out there had headphones on, but they were missing so much of the birds and what was going on around. And that's where I learned about scissor tail birds and that sort of thing, right? So are you an attentive listener? Not just to another two-legged, but to all beings, right? Yeah. Okay. Now here's the second card. I want to mark my page. I'm going to mark this page so I don't lose it. The second card I thought was very, very interesting because I wasn't sure how this was going to go together. Okay. And you know what? Before I move on to that one, I wanted to read you the poem for the talking stick. Yeah, because that's going to help understand why we got the other card. Okay. All right. So you know how much I love Jamie Sam's poems. Here we go. Talking stick. Talking stick, remind me of each sacred point of view, complete within the circle of the sacred hoop. It's short, but I'm going to say it again, okay? Because it's pretty deep here. Talking stick, remind me of each sacred point of view, complete within the circle of the sacred hoop. And what's the sacred hoop? It's life. It's also known as the medicine wheel, right? Okay. The sacred hoop. That was the name of my one of my previous businesses. All right. And the second card that came, this is the second card. The Great Mystery. The Great Mystery. And it's about the original source. The original source. This is a very interesting card, don't you think? How the hide is opened in the middle like that to let us peer into the stars, into the universe. Yeah. Some would say that might even be the Milky Way. Very interesting. Very interesting card. All right. Wait, I got to turn down my sound. I don't want to get all squelchy here. I think, okay. I didn't know if I was missing comments because studio looks a little wonky. The comments. Okay. So here's the poem before we actually get into the card meeting, okay? The poem. Original source of creation, the void of all that is. Thank you for the breath of life. Thank you for my gifts. Eternal mystery, touch my heart. In beauty may I walk. Sacred mystery, be my guide, so I may walk my talk. Infinite source, remain with me, so I may always know the warmth of your eternal flame, deep within my soul. Okay, so when I read the poem earlier this morning, I was thinking, how does this go together? And when I read it, it's like, okay, so I can walk my talk. So I can walk my talk. So the great mystery is sometimes a concept that is difficult or a challenge to really understand. Okay, because here's a piece that I think that kind of stretches our belief system. It stretches our point of view. Okay. So the great mystery is beyond the concept of God, beyond the concept of creator. Some would understand the great mystery as being the prime creator, the creator of creators. Okay. In the Maya tradition, it would be like the central sun. It would be the central sun, the sun of all suns in all of the universes, all of the galaxies. It's the prime creator. The great mystery, also known as the void. Okay. So many of you know how much I enjoy sacred geometry, right? This is one of the reasons why I really understand sacred geometry in the way that I do. Because I was looking for the root. I was looking for the root of all the different religions and where did it really start? That was my quest years and years and years ago. Beyond our two-legged filters and how we take the written word and the even the stories. Okay. And what I found was that in sacred geometry there is a shape called the dodecahedron, and the dodecahedron represents ether, spirit, or the void. Okay. And when we get to the void, what does that really mean, right? What's really there? Nobody really knows. And that is where I realized that the great mystery lies there. It's beyond the belief systems that most people know. And what Jamie Sams writes in this about this card is that it was a concept that was really hard to be able to express to those people coming from Europe here on this continent. You know, the first visitors, right? Yeah. And so once the language barrier was broken, that between sign language and people who had been living literally with the indigenous people here and learning their language and kind of piecing it together with English, or whatever language they were speaking at the time, right? This was a concept that was very difficult to express, because the people who were listening, taking in the whatever was being said, they only could send it through their filters that they really knew, their belief system. And so that's why and where the confusion between the great mystery and the creator or God came into being. Yeah, because those outside of the indigenous people started equating it with God, and the indigenous people were saying this is more than that. This is the creator of God. The great mystery is the creator of God. And so then, here we go. It's kind of hard to pull that into mentally and find it uncomfortable because it's outside of your belief system, right? Yeah. And so, but there is a place for God. There is a place where the creator, right, is that that God, yes, God is in all things. And because God is the one that and the creator is the one that we co-create with. It's kind of like the great mystery's personality, if you will, sort of. Yeah. Because we don't really know exactly what the great mystery is. But that is where all things that are created from is at. And so that's how I got the understanding for myself, is that with the Platonic solids in sacred geometry, they reside in the sixth dimension. And the Platonic solids are the building blocks of all creation. And so that is where the great mystery resides, because it's everything that comes out of the great mystery is what is created. I know it's kind of hard of a concept to bring in, but just sit with it for a little bit. Maybe even take a deep breath. Maybe that's what we should do. Is we're going to take a look at the card again. Okay, and I didn't ask this when we first started about being grounded. If you haven't grounded today, just take a moment to do that. Okay, just take a moment to do the grounding before we do this next piece. Because when we're grounded, we are more capable of bringing in information in a balanced way, because we are balanced then. Okay, being grounded to Grandmother Earth means that we're calmer and we're stable, we're steady, and we can bring in information in many different ways. Even that kind of information that might be very different than what we're used to. Okay? Yeah. All right. So go ahead and do your grounding. All right. So I'm going to show the card again. And this time, what I'd like to do is just take a big, deep breath in. And on the exhale, right, really be open to bringing in the information about the great mystery with your physical eyes, with all your senses. It's called the great mystery. And the essence, or the spirit, to be able to bring it in to being open with to the concept, not asking you to change your belief system, but to be open to another possibility, right? Okay. Yeah. Okay. So Jamie Sams writes that Native Americans had been taught through more than 100,000 years of oral history that all of creation and each individual life form was an expression of and contained great mystery. A part of great mystery lives in everything and knows no boundaries or limits. Every life form has free will to co-create with the original source in beauty and in truth, or in ugliness and despair. So that's where our free will comes in, right? It depends on what we create and how we create it. We're using the energy of the great mystery to do that creation. But when it flows through us, we're the ones that put the spin on it, right? On how it's going to formulate and come into the physical world. So if we're creating from our heart, or a balance between our mind and our heart, we've made the decision that it's going to be a positive creation, right? And sometimes when we just create just from our mind, it can be either or, positive or negative. And that's where the duality thing comes in, right? Mm-hmm. So she says that every life form has one common mission, as well as their individual ones. Each life form is created to learn to be an equal contributor to the beauty of the whole. The purpose of the common mission is to discover who you are, why you're here, what talents you can use to assist the whole, and how you're going to go about it. This mission of discovery is a sacred path of beauty that allows every living creature to express uniqueness in a way that exemplifies harmony and truth. So many of us call that, we're on our spiritual path. We're awake and we're on our spiritual path. And many of us are seekers of the information, of knowledge, right? And we're searching for ways that we can feel more whole, more at peace, more at joy, and to what we say is work our soul contract, right? To find what our gifts are so we can use them. That's what they're calling the sacred path of beauty. And it all comes from the great mystery, because we come from the great mystery. It says that the Great Spirit is seen as unlimited creative force within the great mystery that feeds all of creation all the time. Okay, so we draw on the Creator or God when we're going to create something, because that's our co-creator. And where we're creating it from, where we're getting the energy, the unseen, to bring this into the physical world is from the great mystery. Okay? All right. It says that all creations are part of the great mystery's whole, just as every cell in the human body has different functions and yet work together. Those cells make up a carbon combustion unit that houses a spirit with a unique identity. All human ideas are birthed from the spirit inside the human body, are fed to the brain, and then acted upon through the will of the total being. All ideas in creation come from the great mystery, are gathered by the great spirit, and then used to feed the rest of creation. To limit the power of creation in ourselves or others is a human concept. If we acknowledge the limitlessness of great mystery, We must acknowledge that this life force is also a part of our makeup because we are created by the same original source. I know. It's kind of mind-blowing, and yet it's like many of us will have an aha moment from that, right? And some of us will be going, huh? I didn't get that. And that's okay. That's all right. It's more important that we take in the essence of it than to truly understand all of the details and the minutia of it. Okay. Yeah, got to check the time here. All right, so the application. In the application of this information from this card, it says the Great Mystery card tells us of the original source is the creator of all life and that we are created in its likeness. We are free-willed co-creators who become the source of all we choose to experience in life. In other words, the buck stops here. We are totally responsible for all of our joys and all of our pain. Okay, so nobody's doing anything to us. We've created that. And when we take responsibility for that, then we can actually get to the root. The root of the reason why we created it. Excuse me. Yeah. It is the ultimate of taking responsibility because of that free will that we have and how we created our existence. That's why we're not victims. I know it's a hard concept to take in. I know, because there's some things that some people say, well, why would I even do that to myself? Why would anybody even be, choose to have a life, to create a life that is based on illness, right? Or pain. And truly that's our mental mind. That's being human, to put it in that framework. And it's okay. It's all right. It's when we expand our belief system, when we expand our thoughts, our understanding, that at a soul level, that's the experience we chose to have in this lifetime. And that we make it the best we can, And I'm sure that if we think about it a little bit, somebody who maybe has a disability, right? And they are some of the most awesome people right? Because they see their life very, very differently. They have a positive outlook. They do the very best they can with what they have. And some of that sometimes outshines those of us that have our abilities. So it's just the way that you make the decision to choose. All that from the Great Mystery. All right. So it says that in receiving the card, you're being reminded to give gratitude for all of your lessons. It changes any pain to gain. Focus on your creative capacity and you can change anything. If it's uncomfortable, if it's painful, choose again. Choose differently. Make another choice. It may be time to drop any blame, shame, or regret and take charge of your life. The victim role doesn't suit two-leggeds. We're created in the image of an infinite creator and therefore limitless as co-creators. In all cases, Great Mystery will continue to confound and astound us every time we try to figure it all out. Stop your mind's chatter and listen to the source. Original source shows us that the mystery lives within us and contains all the answers we need to find along the sacred path. The sacred path of beauty is experiencing the mystery of life without having to control the outcome from our tunnel vision command post. Go with the flow and watch the glory of limitless co-creation. After all, great mystery is a divine plan and everything is on schedule. Yeah. So I'm going to show these two cards together, okay? So you can take a look at them. And I do believe that talking stick today, the talking stick was taken up by the Great Mystery. It was Great Mystery's turn to have the talking stick today, to share their point, the prime creator's point of view, the creator of creators. And if you choose to walk your talk, then you have to define that for yourself. What did you create? What are you creating from the Great Mystery? Right? You know, in one of my meditations this past week, it was something about this. Yeah. It was about choosing again. That if what you've created is uncomfortable or painful, then let that go and choose again. Then choose again. Yeah. I had to sit with that one for a little bit. But I truly believe that this is the point about the Great Mystery, is that we make choices and we can always make another choice. That we don't have to be stuck. That we can choose again. And I think today's message is about the Great Mystery picking up the talking stick and sharing with us that you may not agree with what's being shared, but to be able to take it in and see how that may fit or not fit into your life, into your understanding. Does it expand or stretch you to take in something that's very different than you may be used to? And sometimes that is uncomfortable, and sometimes it is. But you always have the ability to ask your spiritual team to say, what does this mean? I really want to understand this. What does this mean for me? Because there must be a reason why I had to hear this, or to be able to see that image on that card. And what did it feel like when you looked at that image of the Great Mystery? Right? Yeah. Who knew? I mean, when these two cards came up this morning, I thought, okay, how do these two go together? And when I started reading the information and sitting with it, it's like, holy smoke. The Great Mystery decided that we were going to have a little bit of a chat this afternoon about how we create, what we create, and where it comes from. And that if we find it painful or uncomfortable in what we've created, is to choose again. Is to choose again. Yeah. I don't know about you, But I had to sit with this one for a little bit this morning with my celery juice, and was thinking about this, and what did it feel like to go beyond the thought, okay, the mental mind, because that brought it in, it brings it in. But what does it feel like? What does it feel like? What emotion is underneath that? Because mine was hope. Mine was hope. But what emotion does hope ride on? Yeah, love. For me, it was love. You know, that it felt to me that in the original creation of my soul, of this that I truly am, is that it was out of love. It was out of love. And for me, that felt really good. It felt really good, and that, I know that I've been called Pollyanna before. Oh, she's so Pollyanna. She's always so optimistic, Get with reality. So my brothers actually used to tell me that, that's not real. Get with reality. But I choose. I choose the positive. I choose to be optimistic. Yeah, I remember the first time I saw that meme about, the glass half full kind of thing. And it went beyond that meme did. It said, that the glass is always refillable. Doesn't have to be half full, doesn't have to be half empty. Is believe that it's always fillable. And I thought, that's it. That's exactly how to say that. The glass is always fillable. What do you want to fill it with? Some days it's a cola, and other days it's water, and other days it's a Chardonnay, or something, or iced tea, or something like that. But choose again, because we have that ability. We're co-creators, and we have that infinite, unlimitless energy that we talk about our ancestors a lot here at Star Nations, about how our ancestors survived so that we could just be here, and what our ancestors, that we carry in us their wisdom, and we also carry their trauma with us, right? And so we spend a lot of time talking about healing those traumas. But let's go even beyond the ancestors. Let's go beyond the ancestors. Then that would take us to the great mystery, the prime creator. Who created our ancestors? Who created the creator who created our ancestors? Now that's getting convoluted. But I think that this information today, this message today, really expands our understanding. It expands our beliefs. It also questions, do you understand that you are a co-creator, that you are a creator? That's a good question. Do you believe that you are a creator? Do you believe in co-creation? And if you do, how do you believe that you create? That's a good one. Oh my goodness, we're at the top of the hour practically here. We got just a few more minutes. This was a pretty deep one, guys. It was deep. I'm glad it happened on a Saturday, and I was well rested for it. That's what I'm glad of. So, whatever resonated with you today, you know, my suggestion, as always, is to embrace it, is to bring it in close. And if it resonated and you don't really feel like you really understood it, or, is like, what was really that about? Turn to your spiritual team and ask them to bring you more information about it so that you could be clear in your understanding. Yeah. And they might even do it through your dreams. They might do it through signs and synchronicities, but allow the information to flow, to really bring it in. Okay. And if it didn't resonate with you, that's okay. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. You got exactly what you needed to get when you needed to get it. And even if it was just to see this image, it was just to take in the image, that is more than enough. Because there's a part of us that we might not even know that understands that image, that understands the meaning behind it. And that's okay. Yeah. You can feel like it didn't resonate with you, and that's all right. So, yeah. I remember the first time I read that information about the Great Mystery. I really had to sit with it for a really long time. And I'm talking months. Because, even though I'm Native American, and even though I grew up in a more of a traditional household, it was blended with a Lutheran religion. And so there's aspects of this that kind of stretched me back then. It's like, how? Yeah, it was the same feeling I had when I discovered reincarnation and realized, wait a minute, that makes sense to me, but it goes against everything I was taught. I think I was 14 at the time. Yeah, I was 14. So just take it in, sit with it, let it gestate, and see where it takes you, where it brings you to your own realization, right? To your own realization. All right. So this coming week, man, do we got some stuff for you guys for Star Nations. We really do. We have, let me see if I can get my notes up here so I don't forget. Let's see. Here they are. So we're going to start with Monday. Well, let's see, Monday. Julie Hedges is taking a little time off, but we're going to have a replay of one of her favorite shows, and she's going to be sharing that with us. That's on Monday evening. We're going to actually get that probably posted more like early evening, late afternoon for you guys, so you have some time to select when you want to do that. On Tuesday is Chakra Sessions with Polly Jo LeBay. And she is sharing with us Expanding Your True Potential. That's at noon on Tuesday Eastern Time, okay? And it's all about being aware. She says, we are all aware of our true potential, sometimes referred to as our life purpose or soul mission, and learn how the chakras hold your potential, how to access that energy, and how to unlock even more of it. So that's at noon on Tuesday. And then we have this live stream at 3 p.m. Eastern with the card draw. And then my weekly show. My weekly show is on Tuesday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And I'm taking one of the cards that we drew this past couple of days, the Medicine Bowl, and you. And we're going to expand it. We're going to talk a little bit more about that and just the Medicine Bowl, and what that might mean in a deeper way and in a more expanded way. So that's Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Okay. And Wednesday, we have at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, Nature Adventures with my co-host, Minnie Kansman. Minnie We're calling the show Restorative Practices. And it's at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Minnie is going to be sharing with us. She went on a trip to Madison, Georgia, and it was all about nature. And so she's going to be bringing back some information for us. She says we're hardwired for having a connection to the natural world. It's in our DNA. And that we're going to be discussing the important topic of how to improve and repair our relationship with the more than human world. Okay, so with nature. Yeah, it's going to be good. She really deepened her understanding of the forest bathing therapy that she does. Yeah, it's really good. All right, and Wednesday night is Polly Jo LeBay at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and that's Soul Connections. And so if you're needing some assistance with some healing, or releasing something that you no longer need, that's what that evening's all about. And also she does mini readings, individual card draw, the second half of that show. So that's at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And then Thursday night at the Star Nations Academy closed group is the monthly free mini class. And this subject came up, weeks and weeks ago. Someone was I mentioned something about altars, and somebody said, can we have a class about altars? And so Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time is a class called Creating an Altar. And I'll be teaching that class. And so, at the Academy closed group here at Facebook. If you're not a member of the closed group, don't worry. Just go to the group and ask to join, and we'll get you all hooked up, okay? All right. Told you we had a lot. Told you. All right. So with that, enjoy the rest of your Saturday, and we'll see you back here tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern Time for the live stream and the group card draw. Bama Mina, that's Potawatomi for until we see each other again. Love you guys.